Lisa Coleman, US executions, true crime. 10 TikTok influencers with millions of followers vanished from their viral feeds, leaving fans wondering where their favorite creators had gone. But 18 months later, camera footage from courtrooms across the globe captures their shocking reactions when judges deliver life sentences that would silence their voices forever. The notification bells stopped ringing, the comments section went quiet, and the last videos these creators ever posted became evidence in murder trials that would determine whether they'd spend the rest of their lives behind bars. What you're about to witness isn't scripted content or a viral challenge gone wrong. These are real courtroom moments where TikTok fame collided with the justice system, and the reactions you'll see reveal the exact moment when digital celebrities realized their online popularity couldn't save them from real-world consequences. If you're fascinated by true crime stories that reveal the darker side of social media fame, you're going to want to stick around for what happens next. Consider subscribing to Criminal Mind Cortex, because we dive deep into cases that show how digital age obsessions can lead to real-world tragedies. Before we dive into those courtroom moments, you need to understand who these people were at the height of their digital empires. These weren't just random users posting dance videos. These were content creators who had built massive followings, earned serious money, and lived lives that millions of people watched every single day. Mahek Bukhari had 120,000 followers hanging on her every word. Her TikTok bio read fashion and lifestyle influencer, and her videos showcased designer clothes, expensive makeup hauls, and what she called her elite relationship with her mother, Ansreen. Together, they created content that painted the picture of a perfect mother-daughter duo living their best lives. But the most chilling part, Mahek's last TikTok post was about family loyalty. She looked directly into the camera and said, "My mum and I have an unbreakable bond. We'd do anything for each other." Those words would later be played in court as evidence of conspiracy to commit murder. Ali Abulaban had nearly 1 million followers who knew him as Jinn Kid. His claim to fame was spot-on celebrity impressions, especially his Scarface voice that went viral across multiple platforms. His content seemed harmless enough: comedy skits, character impressions, and glimpses into his life with his beautiful wife Anna and their young daughter. But behind the viral videos and growing follower count, Ali was documenting something much darker. He live-streamed arguments with his wife, filmed confrontations, and created a digital trail of escalating violence that his followers dismissed as relationship drama or content for engagement. What made these cases so disturbing wasn't just the crimes themselves, but how social media had warped these individuals' sense of reality. They documented their lives so extensively that they essentially created their own evidence trails. Every post, every live stream, every story became a piece of the puzzle that prosecutors would later use to build their cases. The influence these creators had was real. Mahek's fashion recommendations could sell out items within hours. Ali's impressions were shared by major celebrity accounts. They had sponsorship deals, brand partnerships, and the kind of lifestyle that made millions of people wish they could trade places with them. But here's what their followers didn't see: the increasing narcissism, the sense of invincibility, and the dangerous belief that their online popularity somehow placed them above the law. They were living in a digital bubble, where likes and shares had replaced genuine human connection, and where the validation of strangers mattered more than the well-being of people in their real lives. The transformation from content creator to criminal didn't happen overnight. It was a gradual descent that played out in real time for anyone paying attention to the warning signs. Mahek Bukhari's content began shifting in the months before the murders. Her posts became more focused on family drama, cryptic messages about fake friends, and increasingly elaborate displays of wealth. She started posting about loyalty, about protecting family at all costs, and about how she and her mother were ride or die for each other. What her followers didn't know was that her mother, Ansreen, was involved in a secret affair with a 21-year-old man named Saqib Hussain. The relationship had lasted months, with Ansreen spending thousands of pounds on gifts and trips. But when she tried to end the affair, Saqib threatened to expose everything unless she paid him more money. This is where the story takes a deadly turn. Instead of dealing with the situation like adults, Mahek and her mother hatched a plan that would end in murder. They decided to lure Saqib to a meeting where they would force him to delete the compromising photos and videos he had of Ansreen. The plan involved recruiting 6 other people, including professional criminals who owned the cars used in the chase. They arranged to meet Saqib at a grocery store parking lot, with the intention of intimidating him into silence. Meanwhile, Ali Abulaban's descent was happening in full view of his followers. He had installed spyware on his 5-year-old daughter's iPad to listen in on his estranged wife's private conversations. He documented his obsession with surveillance, his drug use, and his increasingly violent behavior toward Anna. His TikTok account became a disturbing window into domestic violence. He would film himself confronting Anna, post videos where he talked about throwing his life away for her, and livestream moments where Anna sat silently in the background while he ranted to his audience. The most chilling part was how his followers responded. Instead of recognizing the warning signs of an abusive relationship, they sent supportive comments. They told him to be strong and don't let her win. They fed his delusions and encouraged his stalking behavior. Both cases highlight how social media can amplify narcissistic tendencies and create dangerous feedback loops. These creators weren't just living their lives, they were performing them for an audience that rewarded drama and conflict with engagement. February 11th, 2022. That's the date that changed everything for Mahek Bukhari and her mother. It was the night their plan to intimidate Saqib Hussain went horribly wrong. The meeting was set for 11:30 p.m. at a Tesco parking lot in Leicester. Saqib arrived with his friend Mohammed Hashim Ijazuddin, thinking he was going to receive £3,000 that Ansreen owed him. Instead, he found himself face to face with 8 people, some wearing balaclavas, who demanded he hand over his phone. When Saqib realized this wasn't a peaceful resolution, he ran back to his car with his friend. That's when the high-speed chase began. 2 cars pursued them through the dark streets of Leicester, ramming into their vehicle and forcing them off the road at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour. The most heartbreaking part of this story is the 911 call that Saqib made during the chase. His voice, filled with terror, can be heard saying, "They're trying to kill me. I'm going to die. Please, sir, I just need help." He begged for assistance as the cars continued ramming into them, and then the line went dead. Both young men died instantly when their car was forced off the road. They were 21 years old, with their whole lives ahead of them. Hashim wasn't even involved in the affair. He was just a friend who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. For Ali Abulaban, the breaking point came on October 21st, 2021. He was living separately from his wife Anna, but he had been using the spyware on his daughter's iPad to monitor her activities. That day, he heard a man's voice in their apartment and became convinced that Anna was cheating on him. He drove to the apartment, let himself in with a key he had kept, and found Anna with her friend Rayburn Barron. In a fit of rage, he shot Rayburn 3 times, then turned the gun on Anna and shot her in the head. The immediate aftermath was captured on various recording devices. Ali called his mother and confessed to the murders. He was arrested later that day, still carrying the gun used in the killings. What makes these cases so disturbing is how preventable they were. In both situations, there were clear warning signs, opportunities for intervention, and multiple moments where different choices could have saved lives. When police began investigating these cases, they discovered something unprecedented. The suspects had documented almost everything on social media. Instead of covering their tracks, they had created detailed digital evidence trails that made the prosecutor's job significantly easier. In Mahek Bukhari's case, investigators found months of planning, documented across various platforms. Text messages, social media posts, and even TikTok videos showed the escalating conflict between Ansreen and Saqib. The recruitment of the other conspirators was partially conducted through social media, and several of them had posted about the plan on their own accounts. The investigation also revealed the extent of the surveillance and stalking that had preceded the murders. Phone records showed hundreds of calls and messages between the conspirators. GPS data from their vehicles traced their movements on the night of the murders. And most damning of all, the actual chase was captured on multiple traffic cameras throughout Leicester. For Ali Abulaban, the digital evidence was even more extensive. His TikTok account contained months of content showing his deteriorating mental state, his obsession with his wife, and his increasingly violent behavior. The spyware he had installed on his daughter's iPad provided a complete record of his surveillance activities. Police also discovered that he had been filming Anna without her consent for months, creating a library of footage that showed the escalating abuse. This evidence was crucial in establishing the pattern of domestic violence that led to the murders. The investigation phase lasted over a year in both cases. During this time, the suspects' social media accounts remained active in the public eye, with followers continuing to comment and speculate about their disappearances. Some fans even created conspiracy theories about why their favorite creators had gone silent. What the followers didn't know was that their idols were sitting in jail cells, facing the reality that their online fame meant nothing in the criminal justice system. The same platforms that had given them influence and income were now providing evidence that would put them away for life. Leicester Crown Court, September 1st, 2023. After months of testimony, evidence presentation, and deliberation, the jury in the Mahek Bukhari case was ready to deliver their verdict. The courtroom was packed with family members, press, and legal observers. Mahek sat in the defendant's box, no longer the confident influencer who had once commanded thousands of followers. She looked small, tired, and for the first time in months, she wasn't performing for an audience. When the jury foreman stood to deliver the verdict, the room fell silent. Guilty of murder. The words echoed through the courtroom, and Mahek's reaction was immediate and devastating. She broke down in tears, her body shaking as the reality of the verdict hit her. Her mother, Ansreen, showed no emotion. She stared straight ahead, vacant and disconnected from the proceedings. The woman who had once been the other half of the elite relationship that Mahek had celebrated online was now facing the rest of her life in prison. The other conspirators received their verdicts as well. Rekan Karwan and Rayes Jamal, the drivers who had chased Saqib and Hashim to their deaths, were also found guilty of murder. 3 others were convicted of manslaughter, their sentences reflecting their lesser roles in the conspiracy. San Diego Superior Court, May 2024. Ali Abulaban's trial had taken longer, but the verdict was just as decisive. The jury found him guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of his wife Anna and her friend Rayburn Barron. Unlike Mahek's emotional breakdown, Ali's reaction was one of disbelief and defiance. He had spent months maintaining his innocence, claiming that he had snapped and that the killings were not premeditated. The jury didn't buy his defense. His family members, who had supported him throughout the trial, were visibly devastated. His daughter, now 6 years old, had lost both parents, her mother to violence and her father to the prison system. The sentencing hearings were where the full weight of these crimes became apparent. This wasn't content creation or viral moments. This was the final reckoning for lives destroyed by digital-age narcissism and unchecked violence. Judge Timothy Spencer addressed Mahek Bukhari directly during her sentencing. TikTok and Instagram lie at the heart of this case. You are an entirely self-obsessed individual who views yourself as some form of celebrity. He sentenced her to life in prison with a minimum term of 31 years and 8 months. Her reaction was shocking in its coldness. As she was led away to begin her sentence, Mahek blew a kiss to her father in the gallery and mouthed the words, "Call me," as if she were ending a casual live stream. There was zero emotion, no remorse, no acknowledgement of the lives that had been lost. Ansreen Bukhari received a life sentence with a minimum term of 26 years and 9 months. The woman who had started the deadly chain of events with her affair showed no reaction to her sentence. She had become a shell of her former self, disconnected from reality and the consequences of her actions. The judge's words about social media were particularly pointed. This case demonstrates how social media can distort reality and create dangerous delusions of grandeur. The pursuit of online fame and the validation of strangers became more important than human life. Ali Abulaban's sentencing was equally dramatic. Judge Jeffrey Fraser looked directly at him and said, "The bottom line here is you will die in prison. You will never be a free man." The judge sentenced him to 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole plus 50 additional years. Ali's response was a mixture of self-pity and continued delusion. "Being sent to prison forever feels like I'm being sent to hell. And I don't think that's fair," he told the judge. Even in that moment, facing the rest of his life behind bars, he couldn't accept responsibility for his actions. The judge called him a very selfish person and noted that he had shown no remorse throughout the trial. "It's chilling," Fraser said, referring to Ali's complete lack of empathy for his victims. These cases sent shockwaves through the social media world and beyond. They forced platforms to reconsider their policies around content that documents domestic violence or criminal activity. They sparked conversations about the responsibility of followers who engage with potentially dangerous content. But most importantly, they provided crucial life lessons that extend far beyond the digital realm. The first lesson is about the temporary nature of fame versus the permanence of consequences. Mahek Bukhari's 120,000 followers couldn't save her from a life sentence. Ali Abulaban's viral videos couldn't change the fact that he would die in prison. Digital fame is fleeting, but real-world actions have lasting consequences. The second lesson is about recognizing the warning signs of toxic relationships and dangerous behavior. Both cases involved clear patterns of escalation that were visible to anyone paying attention. Learning to identify these signs and take action could save lives. The third lesson is about the importance of accountability and genuine remorse. Both Mahek and Ali showed no real remorse for their actions, even when facing life sentences. This lack of empathy and accountability made their crimes even more heinous and their sentences more severe. The families of the victims have shown incredible strength in the face of unimaginable loss. Saqib Hussein's parents spoke about being scarred for life and living their own life sentence after losing their son. Ali Abulaban's sister talked about wishing she could have saved her from the violence she was enduring. These families have channeled their grief into advocacy, working to raise awareness about domestic violence and the dangers of social media obsession. They've shown that even in the darkest circumstances, there can be purpose and hope. If stories like these resonate with you, stories that show how people can find strength even in the darkest moments, then Criminal Mind Cortex is exactly where you need to be. We're building a community of people who understand that true crime isn't just about the crimes themselves, but about the human lessons we can learn from them. Hit that subscribe button and join us as we explore more cases that reveal the complexities of the human condition. The cases also highlight the importance of seeking help when relationships become toxic or violent. Ali Abulaban had filed a police report documenting her husband's abuse just 1 month before he killed her. If she had received more support, or if there had been better intervention systems in place, she might still be alive today. For content creators and social media users, these cases serve as a stark reminder that online behavior has real-world consequences. The platforms that give us the ability to share our lives with millions of people also create permanent records of our actions and intentions. The most important lesson of all is that human life has value that transcends digital metrics. Likes, shares and followers are meaningless when weighed against the lives of Saqib Hussain, Mohammed, Hashim, Ijazuddin, Ali Abulaban and Rayburn Barron. These young people had dreams, families and futures that were cut short by individuals who had lost sight of what truly matters. As we continue to navigate the digital age, these cases remind us that behind every screen is a real person with real feelings and real consequences. The next time you see concerning content online, remember that your response, whether it's engagement, reporting or intervention, could make the difference between life and death. The TikTok accounts of these convicted murderers are now silent, their last posts serving as digital tombstones for the careers they destroyed and the lives they took. But the lessons from their cases continue to resonate, offering hope that future tragedies can be prevented through awareness, accountability, and the courage to speak up when something isn't right.